This tutorial is for 2nd grade, Module 8, Lesson 10. In this lesson, we're going to look at halves, thirds, and fourths. The directions say, do the shapes below have halves or thirds? Well, you can see in each shape that there is a line dividing the shape into two equal pieces. Since we have two equal shares, each shape is showing halves. The next part of the question says to draw one more line to divide the shapes above into fourths. By fourths, we mean that they have 4 equal shares. So I can go back to this first shape. If I draw a horizontal line, I now have 4 equal shares. I'll do the same thing on the circle. That will give me 4 equal shares. On the rectangle, I'm going to draw another diagonal. That would give me 4 equal shares. And I'll do the same thing on the circle. Try to draw a diagonal here to get 4 equal shares. Each portion is considered a fourth. The next section says to first divide each rectangle below into thirds. Well, if we're talking about thirds, that would be 3 equal shares. So I'm going to start by making my thirds in each rectangle. So I'll just kind of estimate to divide each of those into 3 equal pieces. Now I'm going to go back through and shade in 3/3 in the first rectangle, 2/3 in the second rectangle, and 1/3 in the third rectangle. So in the first shape, you can see because we divided the rectangle into 3 pieces and we shaded in 3/3, the entire rectangle is shaded. In the second rectangle, we shaded in 2 of the thirds, so that's 2 out of the 3 pieces that make up the whole. And in the last rectangle, we shaded in 1/3, and that is 1 piece out of the 3 that make up the whole. We're going to follow a similar process in the next section. This time, we're going to divide circles into fourths, and then we're going to shade in the circles according to the labels below. So I need each circle to be divided into 4 equal pieces. I'm going to do that by drawing a vertical and horizontal line through each circle. That will give me 4 equal pieces or 4 equal shares in each circle. Now I'll go ahead and shade in 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, and 1/4 on the circles. Now this time, since we divided the shape into 4 pieces, when I shade in the 4/4, that fills in the entire shape. Now on the second shape, I filled in 3 of the pieces out of the 4 that make up the whole, so there's 3/4. In the next shape, I shaded in 2 of the pieces out of the 4 that make up the whole for 2/4. And on the last piece, I shaded in 1 piece out of the 4 that make up the whole, and that's 1/4. In this section, I have labels above each shape. The word is telling me how to divide my shape. The number is telling me how many of those pieces to shade in. So for example, on the first shape, I need fourths. So I'm going to divide the shape into 4 equal pieces. The 3 tells me to shade in 3 of the 4 pieces. So I would shade in 1, 2, 3 pieces. So I divided the circle into fourths, and I shaded in 3 of those pieces to show 3/4. In the next shape, I'm looking for thirds. That means I need to divide the shape into 3 equal pieces. So I'll divide the shape. There's my 3 equal pieces. I need to shade in 3 of the pieces. Well, since I have 3 equal pieces and I'm shading in 3 pieces, that means I'm shading in the entire shape. In the last question, it's telling me to divide the shapes into halves. I have 2 shapes. I'm going to divide each one in half. So the top shape is divided into halves, and the bottom shape is divided into halves. Now the tricky part is it's telling me to shade in 3 halves. That's why I needed 2 shapes, because each shape only has 2 halves. So I can shade in 1 half here, another half here, so that's 2 halves, and then a third half here. So there's 1 half, 2 halves, and 3 halves. So you can see when we have 3 halves, we have to have more than one shape to show it. Our last question is a word problem. It says to split the pizza below so that Maria, Paul, Jose, and Mark each have an equal share. Label each student's share with his or her name. Well, since we have 4 students, I'm going to divide the pizza into 4 equal shares. And then I'll put each name on the pizza. So we have Maria, Paul, Jose, and Mark. The first question says, what fraction of the pizza was eaten by each person? Well, each person would eat 1 piece out of the 4 that make up the entire shape. So we'll say each person ate 1/4. The next question says, what fraction of the pizza did the boys eat all together? Well, we've got 3 boys here, so we've got Jose's piece, Mark's piece, and Paul's piece. So they ate 3 pieces out of the 4 that make up the whole. So they ate 3/4.